Standup Comedy, your host and MC, presents Comedy Appetizers, a podcast where you will find short comedy sets, stories, and funny bits from the famous and not so famous. Here is your host and MC, Scott Edwards.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. We have a special audience of one show for you, and boy, what a treat. This gentleman toured with Frank Sinatra for over a decade. He's got 52 years in the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tom Dreesen.
Thank you for that introduction.
Hey, Tom, it's so nice to have you back on the show. You toured with Frank Sinatra for all those years. In fact, aren't you doing a show, The Man Who Made Sinatra Laugh? I mean, how often did you get Sinatra to really laugh out loud?
Several times. I think probably one of the hardest times I ever made him laugh, they were giving him an award at the Beverly Hills Hotel, the Will Rogers Award, and for humanitarian service. But Will Rogers was a comedian many years ago who, one of his phrases that he was known for was, he never met a man he didn't like. And they were giving Frank this award. And at the cocktail party before, all of the people, of course, were murmuring, Frank Sinatra's getting an award. He never met a man he didn't like, Frank was a rowdy guy. So I had to get up and speak. In front of this whole audience, black tie group, I got up and the first words I said was, Frank Sinatra punched every man Will Rogers ever liked.
I bet that knocked Frank on the floor.
Oh, in my one-man show, we show a film of him laughing and pounding the table. Another time that I made him laugh, he never went to bed till the sun came up, whether we were on the road or off the road. And I toured with him for 14 years in 45, 50 cities a year. And he wanted you to hang out with him. And it was fun for about 10 years, but after a while, I'd like to get and play golf once in a while. But one night one time we were on the road doing a bunch of one-nighters, and we ended up at the Desert Inn Hotel in Las Vegas where we were going to do a week in Las Vegas. And opening night, we did 2 shows. Now, after the second show, we're hanging out in the restaurant way in the back at the Desert Inn, and now it's like 4:30 in the morning, and he's going strong. And I was tired. There was like 4 guys at the table. And I got up from the table, and he said to me, hey, where you going? I said, I'm going to bed. He said, what for? I said, I got to get up early in the morning and go to the cemetery and visit those guys. He said, what guys? I said, all those guys who died trying to stay with you every night.
What was Frank's response?
He laughed. He said, go to bed. And then he made me tell that story, every time. Every time we get together, he said, tell him about that night in Vegas.
Well, Frank obviously had a great sense of humor, and you being able to tour with him for all those years, what an honor and what a validation of how important a stand-up comic you are, Tom. Thanks so much for sharing your humor with us today.
Thank you, Scott. It's always great being with you.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Comedy Appetizers. Be sure to share with family and friends, and we will see you this Sunday for our regular podcast, your host and MC, and again next Friday for another episode of Comedy Appetizers. Bye!